So I'm using Joe Zaghetti's Technologies Year 5 sector program. So what I've done is I've aligned the technologies for Year 5 with version 9.0 of the Australian curriculum. So the first unit here is Term 1, Digital Cyber Safety, version 9.0. And what I've done is I've put all the Australian curriculum content into the page there. You already had your existing lessons, which do align with the version 9.0. Then in Term 2, we look at the microbits. Now, what I've done here, this is the unit for your programming and a new unit which you can do in 2023, or a new assessment task, so to speak. Your existing one, where you had the microbit, which is this one here, where you had to create a fidget cube and you're looking at the design technologies, that one doesn't actually align with the version 9.0. So for 2023, we're not going to use that part. However, your whole concept of making the fidget cube and programming still exists. And I'll see if I can explain that here. So if I go to the Term 2, Digital Technologies Microbits, this here is the new Australian curriculum. And what we're having a look at here is primarily having a look at the programming, okay? So the same assessment that you had before. So they had to program the fidget cube, for example. They can still make the fidget cube, but you just don't assessment necessarily on the actual making of the cube itself. So less focus on that and more of the focus on just the programming side. The other part which I've added into for next year, which will give you a second assessment for Term 2, is you need to actually look at, if I scroll up, investigate the main internal components. Sorry, that jumped around there. Investigate the main internal components of common digital systems and their functions. So with that there, when you look at the microbit, I've created a lesson, which I'm going to pause and show you now, on how students can identify and label the parts of the microbit. These are Joe's online lessons, and right down the bottom, I've just added an extra week to put some lessons in here. If we look at this one here, Microbits Components 2023. So next year, when you introduce the lessons, okay, you have a look at what is a microbit. This will be familiar, it's still the same. So this is labeling the features of the microbit. Looking at the input and output devices, what a processor is, what are LEDs, and learning about the buttons. But here is a new assessment task, and in this assessment task, my suggestion would be to create a 2-minute maximum video which explains what a microbit is. Pretend Microsoft has employed you to create a video which explains the components, or the parts, and the functions, that is, what they do. And in your video, you need to include the USB connector, the processor, the buttons, and the LEDs. And if students do that, that will cover the components of a digital solution. I've now switched back to the unit planner section. So this is for Term 3, which you are currently doing this term. So this is Design Technologies, and the focus is Engineering and Technologies, which is version 9.0 of the Australian curriculum. So previously you had the Make-Do and Kane's Arcade. Unfortunately, I don't see Kane's Arcade fitting into the engineering, because when you come up with engineer something, you need to solve a problem, and designing an arcade game is not solving a problem, so to speak. So what I've done here is kept the similar principles that go along. So with this one here, what we're actually covering is creating and designing, producing, it's typing error, producing and implementing, and evaluating, and collaborating. So it's the old design, make and appraise, if you are familiar with that. So I'll switch to the lessons now. Again, you'll find these down the bottom of Joe's program. So the first one is, what is make do? So at the start of this lesson, there's a video about what is make do. Then the students are introduced to the tools. Then there are short video tutorials on how to use the tools. So how to punch a hole in cardboard, how to join cardboard, connect cardboard, safely cut cardboard, and fold cardboard. So that there may take a double lesson for you to introduce and students have a go at each of the techniques. The next double would have a look at joining techniques with no glue. So looking at different joints, so you've got slot joints, slot tab joints, and this is a great video in here on, there's a dovetail joint, grain gripper, pinch slit, and weave connecting. Now with that as well, if you wanted to have a little assessment here, you could actually get students to create a poster, and on the poster have each one of the techniques included or not. It's up to you. Then this is the next double. So here we're up to week 3 and introducing there's a typing error there, I'll fix it up, should be what is engineering. There's a great video there which explains the different types of engineering. You could possibly have an activity where Sydney might be able to come in. She did work experience with an engineering firm and talk about what she actually learnt there, what people do as engineers, and they were civil engineers, I think. Then have a look at how engineers work as teams and look at the skills involved. So there is a document here which shows images of the characters engaging in various skills, team skills for engineering, and then they have to look at the image and match it up to the word here. Now that's just to make it more complex and more interactive. What you could actually do is have all these different team engineering skills, cut them up, put students in groups and give them one, and then the students have to role play that particular skill and the rest of the class has to guess what they're actually doing and what skill is important as part of the engineering process. And then down the bottom of the lesson here, you just have a little saying when you come with a problem. So this is your resilience, not saying, oh no, don't be sad, get mad, it's time to grow. Think it, try it, fix it, share it. So then we're heading now into week 4. I'll just pause that for a minute. So heading into week 4, you can delete this from the lesson. It's really here for you to show you the links to 9.0. So we're looking at generating and designing. So here, with make-do, they're presented with a range of problems. So use make-do to solve one of the problems below. Something to carry, something to move, something to fly. Now, these aren't essentially a problem, so to such, more of a task requirement. But solving a problem will be the final one. So we're building up to it here. So first of all, they need to define the problem, choose the topic, write a list of things that you already know about the topic. Think about what you want your object to be able to do. For example, if you were choosing this one, something for a pet, you might want to come up with an object, a toy for an old cat to keep it active during the day so it sleeps better at night. Now note, students don't necessarily have to come up with a new invention, but whatever their object is has a purpose, so it solves something. Then get students to ideate. Now with this ideation phase, draw as many different ideas that you can think of. At this stage, any idea is good. Decide on the final object, and then get students in their groups to draw the object and use arrows to point to different joining techniques that they will use. So you're linking the techniques they learned from before with their ideas about what they want to produce. And so this is the next double lesson. This is at week 5 we're up to here. So here they are producing and implementing. So using cardboard and make-do only, they construct their object. When they've constructed it, you need to get them to take photos from different angles and make sure that they take photos of their joining techniques, because this will be vital when it comes to their evaluation. So then week 6 double lesson here, again, delete this at the top again, it's just for your reference, looking at evaluating, collaborating and managing. So for this part here, I get them to do it individually because they're doing their evaluation. So using the images they took of their object, use digital ink to identify the joining techniques used. Get them to compare the original hand-drawn idea with their final product. And get them to write about the changes they made during the making phase and why they needed to change these. Of course, with this, you're going to have to provide scaffolds. I'm just giving you the ideas. So whether it's a template or something they can work through for evaluation, that would be good here. Then another type of evaluation would be to think about the engineering team skills that were used. Could be create a table of the skills that you think you demonstrated well, and a list of the skills that you think you may need to improve on. But again, I haven't created your assessments here. It's just some ideas on what you can use for an assessment and how you might think about scaffolding that. The next part is basically, and the engineering could be a team challenge. I probably suggest it should still be another team challenge. With the version 9.0, there is a strong emphasis on sustainability, which you can see on screen here, which is highlighted. So with this, I pulled a resource, which I'm about to show you, from the Da Vinci Decathlon, which you could use as a base structure. So in terms of them building some sort of sustainable object using their joining techniques and the make do and the design thinking of like defining the problem, coming up with your design, making and evaluating, you could focus on turbines. Now you notice here the background research is provided for you. Of course, it's going to be too complex for many of your students, so you're going to have to break it down into a more user-friendly resource for them. But the idea is that they use the information provided there and then they design and build a wind turbine using the things I've learnt, and then you create an assessment rubric based on that, and that would actually complete the unit and links in your sustainability into your design technologies focus. I'll switch back now to the unit planner section. Now, design technologies is not my section, but I just enjoyed it, so I ran with it and wrote something for you. The other unit which you could do in term 4, which I haven't written for you, which I will do, is having a look at networks. So basically that will be extremely short unit. I'm guessing for like 2 doubles maximum, and you'd be having a look at how computer networks connect. So that is, for example, if I've got a picture of a cat on my email and I send it to my friend, that picture is broken down into little bits. The passage that it goes through, the bits are put together and it's viewed as an image. I've got a great hands-on class activity where you can actually demonstrate a network using students and envelopes, but I'll work on that. And that will actually cover you and make you up to date with version 9.0 of the Australian curriculum. The other things along the side here, I've just written not for 2023. You guys have the final choice, up to you. They were just my ideas.